Hi, I'm Dr. Gwen, and my channel is all about empowering the neurodiverse community. In this episode, Julius Su, co-founder of Skies Learning, comes onto the show to talk about their new Visual Choices app. We discuss the significant importance of reducing the barriers to communication and how communication is really the heartbeat of well-being. We also plug into the matrix and talk about the potential role of AI in the future of communication. Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm so excited to welcome Julius Su, co-founder of Skies Learn. Julius is here to share a really cool app that, in my mind, 20 years ago, would have saved me hundreds of hours of time in just stimuli making. So anyway, hi, Julius. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Gwen. Very nice to see you, and thank you for your time.
Yeah, absolutely. So Julius, you and I were connected because you are really active in the community and wanting to share an app that you felt was going to be really helpful for communication. So I wonder if you can maybe give us some background about your Visual Choices app and, how and why you made it.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. So we've been doing educational software for a while. Me and my co-founder, James, we started making software for schools, mostly in Los Angeles, maybe 10 years ago. And so we're very familiar with education and with kids. And in fact, most of our users are elementary school teachers. We're in about 120 schools in Los Angeles Unified School District. We have, maybe 500 teachers using our lesson making software every week, maybe 15,000 students. So we're experienced in this whole education area. But this particular app came out of something sort of very personal to me, which is about a year ago, my toddler son, started to withdraw from the world. So it was slow. We didn't really notice it until we started watching home videos and things like that. But he used to be able to point, say a few words, just be very interactive with us, roll balls back and forth, do anything that involves like looking at you, looking at the object, going back and forth. But over a few months, he sort of lost all of those abilities. And after we talked to some people and we got a diagnosis, we realized that he was autistic. It wasn't anything, it was just something a little bit different that we now needed to work with. And so it's scary. I think there were two main challenges. One was it was okay for a while, because for a while it was like, okay, he's such a good kid. He's got no needs. He has, he doesn't cry, he doesn't fuss, he doesn't ask for anything. All we have to do is regularly, put food in his mouth and give him cuddles and keep him warm, and he'll be perfectly happy. But as he grew older, this did not continue, because he got smarter. He started to want more and more things, and he couldn't communicate any of it to us. So he got very frustrated. And there was a lot of crying and a lot of tantrums and a lot of us not knowing what he really wanted. And this is where, not having communication is a big problem, this communication frustration. The second is just the fear of not knowing if this would ever improve, if he would ever talk. And so thankfully, due to, efforts of early intervention people, ABA therapists, speech therapists, occupational therapists, a wonderful program that we participated in with UCLA at the beginning, he's now doing great. He's now talking. He's now a very social, happy, active kid. But we started writing this app because I was like, boy, this is the app I would have loved to have had when he first was having trouble talking and we were struggling to communicate with him. So that's the background.
It's beautiful. Communication is key, like kind of I feel like the foundation of well-being for all humans, right? To be able to have communication, use communication in a way that we can share our thoughts and our feelings and get our needs met. And without that, things can get really rough. And so it's wonderful that you're providing this tool, really. I know how difficult it is to make stimuli, or visuals or materials, right? We're constantly doing that. And so I'd love to show people your app actually and how it works, Julius. So take it away. You've got full command center control. So go for it.
Okay. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Oh, that's my son.
It's adorable.
Oh, sorry. Oh, let me share the screen of the app.
But that was a really sweet.
There we go.
Look how sweet this one is. Okay.
He's being adorable as always.
Yes.
So the basic idea of this app is that it works in 3 stages. First, you start adding things that you know that your child likes. So I have here a bunch of items that Orion likes, and I'm just going to go ahead and, as an example, add some more items. And all you have to do is talk into your phone and take a picture. Car. And then you add a picture of the car. Or you could say keys. Because Ryan's always trying to get my keys. And so you just sort of go around adding all of the different items in your child's life that he or she might like. Now, the second stage. Yes.
Hey, Julius, really quick. Are these pictures getting pulled from your library on your phone?
I'm taking pictures like in real time with my phone. So as I'm walking around and I see things that my child might like, I just say the object and take a picture. Say the object, take a picture.
Got it. And so it's voice activated to add the thing, and you just take a picture of it and boom, there it is in your library of items.
That's right.
Got it.
And it collects all of the different items that your child likes.
Got it.
I can talk a little bit more later about the first initial versions of our app, which use AI and things like this. But this is after we got some feedback from therapists and parents. They're like, our child doesn't want AI generated images. Our child wants pictures that they recognize of items very familiar to them. And so this is the path we've gone down.
Yes.
The second stage is really just addressing the communication frustration part. And in my experience and going through the early intervention program and talking to therapists, the number one thing is just giving your child every opportunity to make choices, to communicate what they want. Like, do you want A or B? And so in the app, we've made it really easy to do that. All you need to do is switch to this other tab and talk. So I could say, okay, where do you want to go today? Do you want to go to park or arcade? And right then and there, it shows the pictures. And your child can then point at where they would rather go. Do they want to go to the park or do they want to go to the arcade? Let me show another example. Maybe in eating, what do you want to eat? Rather than just leave food around and have your child sort of select what they want, they can request at a distance. They can say something like puffs or yogurt snack. And now they get these choices here. Or to use an example that we just took, car or keys. Oops. Car or keys. Okay, so it's not perfect in terms of recognizing the word keys, but it gets most of the words. And so just offering your child these little choices turns into something that makes them less frustrated, able to communicate their needs, and also starts to build their language.
That's great, Julius. That is so great. That I love how fast that is too, because it, in the past, we used to have to carry these books of pictures, sometimes hundreds of pictures, right? And now we're like, how do we find these? How do we find these? How do we find these? So this is really just getting pulled right there. And voice activated, voice controlled, which is much, I think, in many ways, easier to pull some of these pictures.
Yeah, because we felt like, I was just talking to a BCBA yesterday, and she was saying, well, I always insist that my parents be part of the sessions because, communication is not all about just, well, you need to communicate. The child needs to communicate this. Communication is a two-way street. It needs a communication partner. And, the parent is the ideal communication partner. The parent's with the child all the time. And so what could be easier than a parent being able to communicate to their child using a device always on hand, showing all of the items that their child likes right then and there, and basically hands-free. So they're not having to, look through a binder, find the right tiles, show them to the child, recreate the whole PEX thing right in front of the child. It's like Siri, do you want this or that? And it translates. It's like a graphical user interface for humans.
Yeah.
If humans would make sense, we always view the world as through this neurotypical, well, everything has to be about speech. Everything has to be about talking back and forth. But when we interact with computers, we don't have computers just talk to us back and forth. We have things we can click on. Maybe we need to meet our children where they're at and give them the ability to, interact with us in a way that makes more sense to them, at least to get started.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's what I love too. Julius, the app is two main screens, right? One is like this choices screen. What is the all items section?
Okay. Because part of it is the parent giving choices to the child, but eventually what would be nice would be for the child to be able to go and initiate their own requests.
Right.
And in that sense, we want to give the child all the possible options. And so really we have a screen here that acts almost like a mini AAC device, a speech generating device. All they have to do is press the icon and they can say the name of what they want to say.
Fruit snack. Park. Car.
So they just touch the icon and it talks.
Wow. And that's automatically generated by typing in the word. When you put the word in the first place in the vocabulary section, that's how the voice feedback is generated.
Right. Yeah. So when you're entering in the item, it automatically puts the caption on, and it's stored in your library. You can always change it if you want later if it didn't quite catch it. But we wanted to make the process of adding these items just really easy.
Yeah. 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 Is there a way, Julius, to organize these at all? I can imagine that some kids would have, you might have 100 of these. Right. What do you do when you've got a lot of information?
Right. So there are two things we're working on right now, actually. The first is we're going to put a third tab in called Programs, which will let you sort of organize it by okay, here are the family members, here are food items, here are colors, these sort of things. This is more for a therapist provider. If you're like an ABA person, you're like, okay, we're going to work on tagging family members. They want to only show 5 icons and really practice those 5 icons with the child. It's more for teaching. It's more for, how do you systematically teach, the child these new words or these new images. The second thing we want to do, and this is perhaps more ambitious, we want to make a new way of implementing AAC. So I don't know of your familiarity with AAC, and I'm certainly not an expert myself. I know people spend years getting specialized degrees in this sort of thing, but I know from personal experience, when we tried to introduce AAC to Orion, my child, at an early age, there were 2 problems. One is it was just too much. You have a screen, you have all these icons. I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen for now. And you really have to navigate through all these different screens just to get to the word that you want. Now, of course, this makes sense because a person knows 10,000 words, you want your child to have full access to, 10,000. You want a full vocabulary. You want a full amount of expression. You want presumed competence. You don't want to ever assume that your child only wants 5 things. You want to, underestimate this. You'd rather give them all access to all things. But this means that navigating through to even say simple things is going to be hard. The other challenge that we found with existing AAC devices was that Orion has special interests. I mean, the things he likes to talk about are like fans, Pac-Man, Minions, cars. I mean, that's not even the ASD thing. This is a toddler thing. Toddlers are not going to be on the I want banana, I want apple all day. They want to talk about cool things, right? So for Orion, when he learned how to, the only thing he wanted to do on the AAC was say, I want fan, I want fan. But the word fan was like, you have to navigate to nouns, then buildings, then building accessories, and then the second page, and then you could get to fans. And so if you think about it, there's a very fixed way these things are organized that sort of channel the user, channel the child, channel the adult into only saying the kinds of phrases that the developer thinks are the appropriate phrases to say.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're kind of constraining language a bit by doing it this way. So here, anyway, this is a long buildup to what I think would be awesome if we could develop. And this is something we haven't developed yet. So it's so easy for me just to say, like, this imaginary thing is going to be better than everything else. But here, I'm just going to throw it out. Like,
yeah,
I think the way AAC should work is you should just be able to throw in words as your child learns them. Just be able to throw in, like, your child knows 10 words, put in those 10 words. Your child likes cars, put in that car. Go around the environment, every noun, every verb that's relevant to them at the particular time gets put into this thing. And then, using AI, the system figures out automatically how to organize them into a way that the child can then access. So you don't have to go, okay, let me find space in folder X, put icon Y. You don't have to do all that manual stuff. It grows with the child. Every word, every phrase that the child's getting gets put into the system that automatically starts to organize things in a way the child will be able to find accessible and easy. That's the vision. That's what I hope we can go towards with this technology.
That's absolutely incredible. And I think the thing that resonates, the idea here that resonates with me is your second kind of point that you hit, which is let's reduce communication frustration. Because if you can reduce communication frustration, then it's worthwhile to communicate, right? But if the demand and the work is so high to communicate a simple thing, I don't feel a lot of efficacy in communication. And so then I don't. And that's not an ASD thing either. That's a human thing, right? When the work, when the cost outweighs the benefit, then I don't do it anymore. And you know what? And actually, I kind of don't want you to do it anymore if that's the situation, because that's what makes the most sense, right? And so I love this. And I love, like, okay, you got 10 words, you got 10 nouns that mean a lot to you, but it's driven by meaning. And then I really want to use that system. And now the system and I are in tandem, right? Now the system is truly expressing how I think and communicate. I love this concept of AI. And I will share with the audience that when Julius and I met before, I did see Julius's the visual choices app, the iteration in which AI was being used to generate the pictures. And it was so mind-boggling to me when I asked Julius, wait, where are these pictures coming from? And Julius is like, oh, these are just created. And I was like, created by who? And he's like, and I was like, the Matrix, like that's what's happening. And, I remember you and I talking about, oh, wow, like, having the actual picture is like very meaningful. And so I see, you've already, iterated. But the use of the AI was really, really fascinating to me. And I know that's a current topic, right? I mean, for me, in my very simple mind, ChatGPT is probably what started my thoughts about, or my awareness of AI in the way in which it was real, not like science fiction movie based, but like, whoa, I just prompted this thing, albeit with, I think, pretty good prompts. And I got exactly what I wanted back. You know what I'm saying? And so the nature of AI and how that's going to change. I love this application to what is the lexicon framework that each person has for their language? And how does that get represented and then used in a way that makes communication efficient for a person? Love, because why shouldn't the communication system be different if someone is wired differently?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the real. I think there are two paths, sort of. Well, there's millions of paths we can go down, but there are sort of two like big paths I can see with AI and communication. And this isn't just an autism thing. I think this is a societal, like, people thing. I think it's sort of like AI shapes us versus we shape AI kind of business. Like, you know, with working with autistic people of all ages, there's been a long history of like the ups and downs of facilitated communication. The idea that, wow, we're giving these children, these adults, this really fascinating way to communicate, but is it really them talking, or is it the communicative partner like putting words in their mouth, like almost literally, like moving their hand around, that sort of thing? And I think AI could kind of become like facilitated communication on steroids. If we're not careful, it could be like, wow, all these incredible words are coming out of these people, but is it really what you mean to say? I mean, even neurotypical person, if they're asking AI to write, a eulogy or something, is it really them? Is it really their sympathetic, or is this, the hive mind coming up with this thing for them? So
Yeah,
I think we have to be a little careful. But I think the other path we could take is in this incredible way AI can put your personal lexicon, your words, your ideas, your thoughts. It sort of knows it knows meaning. It knows how words relate to each other. It knows how sentences relate to each other. I think it could be an incredible tool to personalize things to the user that just wasn't practical before. Like, before, an AAC company would have to be like, okay, well, yes, we could design like a custom AAC system based on your particular words, interest level, whatever, but we would need like to hire a few PhDs for each person, each user. We need to organize the motor plan. We need to figure out where the verbs go. We need to do all this. But now AI knows all of this stuff. It could just do it in seconds. Why can't they create a custom AAC for each person?
yeah,
I mean, they did. I'm just tangenting now, but like,
yeah, please.
They did this experiment like a few months ago where they figured out how to use AI to read minds. Have you heard about this, Gwen?
No.
Oh, okay. This is going to sound like sci-fi crazy stuff, but they put people in MRI scanners, and they had them like, read books, listen to people talking, look at pictures. And after, hours and hours of training, they were able to get it so that they could basically, with some like 60% accuracy, figure out what people were thinking based on their brain scans. But here's the thing, like, every person, they could figure out these thoughts, but every person represented thoughts in like a different way. So it's almost like it had to be personalized. Like, we have language, we all talk in the same way. We all have common words, we all have common things we agree on, but the way these things are represented in our brain are kind of very different.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe the systems we develop to communicate with each other should reflect that diversity of ways words get represented in our brain. Maybe I have like certain phrases, interests, things like that stuck in my brain in a certain way, and maybe you have another set of things stuck in your brain in a different way based on your lived experiences. And maybe we should be creating technologies that sort of embrace this diversity of like brain connectiveness and expressiveness and communication, rather than trying to put everyone into sort of a same mold just because it's easier or more convenient to do.
Yes, which is a statement about the neurodiversity movement, right? That idea that what's actually normal is that there's neurological variability. That is actually what's normal, not that there's a neuromajority in which that's who determines what is, quote, air quote, right?
Yeah, right.
Right. And anything outside of that is strange. I mean, this is why, many autistics, when I call myself neurotypical, and I know, I've got my own neurological quirks, and but they're like, they always think it's offensive that I call myself neurotypical, because it's so funny, because they're like, I don't know. I just laugh because it's such a flip on the script. But that variability, we're not even talking about a linear range, right? It's more like 360, 3D, actually, in the way in which we think about things and the unlimited variability that we can have. It really does challenge zeitgeist. The zeitgeist, it challenges systemic thinking. It challenges a lot. And I like that. I like being able to go off course and to entertain this, to be curious, to think about things in flexible and bigger ways, right? Because I know the thing that I experience whenever I'm supporting a neurodivergent adult is the minute I think something should be is when I'm completely off. Like off. Aside from the obvious stuff, like this is what's legally bound, right? Like, do not murder people. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we get this. We get some of these ideas of legality and morality. I'm saying, I'm not talking about those things, obviously. But it is in curiosity and creativity that we find what works for people. And we find how to help make living in this world easier and more fulfilling. Whatever that is. Communication is just a keystone in this. And I always find that communication, we go back to lexicons, we go back to frameworks, but I think the other thing too is we go back to symbolism. And for you, Julius, it's like when you might think of a broom and I might think of a broom, because of our lived experiences in our context, my broom inevitably is a firebolt from Harry Potter. And I know that that's funny, but you know what I'm saying? Like in my mind, I don't think everyone may come up with a firebolt in their minds from a symbolic imagery standpoint when they might hear a broom or whatever it is. But I just love this idea. I love your vision for this. And I just love the ease of this app. It's really, I really am thinking about how this could have changed my life as a therapist, 20 years, 25 years ago. I just spent so much time in collecting meaningful things, for the little ones that I was supporting. And we could have just been practicing the use of language and how powerful language can be. So I love this. Okay, Julius. The Visual Choices app is available where?
The App Store. It's only for iPads and iPhones right now. Sorry, Android users.
That's not a statement on whether your text messages come up as blue or green, but it might be. Just kidding. Okay. Right.
It's just we had to develop one thing first, and this is what we developed. But if you go to the App Store and just search for Visual Choices, our app will be the first thing that pops up. It's a free app. Please just go ahead, download it, try it, use it. Let us know how it goes. We're continuing to improve it. AI is coming soon for making pictures, image search, drawings. There's going to be a lot of fun features added, but it's going to stay simple. It's going to stay usable, and it's going to be 100% focused on making it so a child can communicate without barriers to the world and improve their language. That's it.
Oh my gosh, Julius, I just got like warm fuzzies. Thank you. Thank you for offering that for free. That accessibility is everything. Whether people have the tools or not is one thing. Being able to access them and use them is where the meaning is created, is where, so thank you for being a part of solving this accessibility issue that we're having today. So Visual Choices app, you guys, on the App Store, the Apple App Store for iPhone and iPads, free at this time. Please just check it out. I can see this application also for adults, for non-speaking adults who have so many thoughts. But we have an issue of output. So, it's not about the fact that I can think. I can think about a lot of things, but I cannot let you know what those are. So, how do we use this? So thank you, Julius, for being here. I will put all of these links in the description and the show notes. Please, if you feel like this could be helpful to you, there's no risk.
Yeah.
Try it out.
Just try it. Yeah.
Super simple. And I love that there's a simplicity to it. So thanks, Julius. Thank you for coming on the show, Julius. And
thank you very much for having me. This is a lot of fun. Just talking.
I know. I mean, we can maybe come back. Let's come back and maybe you can talk about AI, or when when your Visual Choices app has an update, or you have some new features or something. Let's come back on the show and let's have a conversation about it, and let's share it with our community.
It'll
awesome.
Keep evolving as fast as everyone else. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Julius.